Hey folks, Kilt-Man here, Kilt-Man at your dragon slaying services. How are you all? I hope you're all doing very, very well. Now, if you're watching this, it means this video, my long-awaited review of 1981's fabulous dragon movie, Dragonslayer. One of the greatest fantasy movies of all time, which I've been longing for years to cover, but waited in hopes for a better quality version to come out. And then it did. On UHD, and it was sent to us by your friend of mine, Astrodyne, a traveller in time. Astrodyne, a super channel contributor. He sent me a copy of it. There it is there, the 4K release, which is blisteringly good, folks. And I spent all Easter weekend watching it. And then, right, I'll do my big review. I'll get everything set up. I'll get all my dragonry and put it all around me. From that point onwards, my life became misery. Almost medieval misery. That makes it sound like I have a lot of fun, but no, it wasn't the case. Everything I set up fell apart. In the middle of doing, I could be half an hour into the video and it would collapse all over the place. Then there was people arriving and stuff, outside influences taking place, ransacking and sabotaging all my best of intentions. And then yesterday, I thought, right, today's the day, it's Dragonslayer Day. It's been delayed, but it's now Dragonslayer Day. And everything got set up again, and I got about 5 minutes into the video, and this contraption here, you can see him right in the foreground, decided to fall off his perch. He fell, he tumbled, cascaded to his death. And as I tried to catch him, I leaned back with the chair I'm sitting on and knocked into my vintage 1981 poster of the movie. The Italian artwork, well, it's actually the same as most of the poster artwork, but this is the European, well, the Italian counterpart, done by Bruno Napoli, who was Disney's chief artist for all the European posters. And I've had that since 1981. And it's had better days, I'll be honest, because it's been living on blue tack and gaffer tape for most of its life. I never once thought to get it framed as a kid. I just blue tacked it to the wall, and it's gone from house to house and place to place with me, getting dog-eared, but the colours have remained vibrant. And anyway, so that was there, propped up. And as I tried to catch my dragon, the chair knocked into it, and the whole ramshackle setup behind me also cascaded to the floor. And that poster, which has been hanging on for dear life since 1981, was sheared in half, right down the middle. But not even neatly in half. There was a triangular tear out on one side and a triangular tear out on the other side, but at different places. So it's now held together by blue tack and gaffer tape, a bit like the Kilt Mansion itself. Blue tack has been the thing, the cement of my life. So, if this video actually does go live, then wow, the gods have finally smiled upon me. And for that, cheers. Whether you be Greek, Norse, Christian, pagan, you know, whatever gods. As Dave Allen would say, may your gods go with you. So cheers, y'all. Dragonslayer! I do love this movie. It was directed by Matthew Robbins, it was produced by Hal Barwood, and written by both those two. And these two had met the likes of George Lucas and John Milius and Spielberg back in the day when the Hollywood mafia was getting together, the big boys of cinematic splendor. And they had this idea. They'd already done, I think, Corvette Summer and Sugarland Express, which Spielberg directed. But they've been writing many screenplays together. And this was about the 6th or 7th screenplay, Dragonslayer. And the two of them had a love of like Arthurian legends and dragons and myth and, you know, the whole folkloric stuff of European, you know, sort of legendary myths. But they also loved The Sorcerer's Apprentice from Disney's Fantasia, where Mickey thinks he can be a sorcerer while the sorcerer's out in the pub. and he gets all the brooms go crazy, and it's a fantastic segment in a fantastic movie. So they cite that as being their major inspiration for a film which is set in around about the 6th century in England, sort of Romano, Britanno Empire has now collapsed, and we've got all different religions. The whole Wiccan thing has been stamped out, but you've got pagan attitudes, but Christianity is making inroads into the area as well. And of course, like Excalibur, which came out at the same sort of time, both dealing with myth and folklore and legend, both also take on the aspect that Christianity is going to stamp out magic. And in this particular movie, magic in the form of the sorcerer, the great sorcerer Ulrich, played by Sir Ralph Richardson, and the demonic dragon herself, the greatest of all dragons, Vermithrax Pejorative. What a name. Sadly, I can't remember the genesis of that name. Matthew Robbins, the director, did say that Vermithrax comes from something, I'm sure it's like a great worm or something which he'd read about, and that's how that name got in there. And they just thought, pejorative just goes so well with it. It does. It's a hell of a mouthful, especially when you're a kid, go to the cinema, and you come out, well, what was that dragon's name again? And you'll all go, what was it called? And then you get the magazines like Starburst and the comic book adaptation of the movie, and you still can't read it. It sounds like a sexual disease, doesn't it? Well, you've got a bit of touch of Vermithrax there, and sadly it's reached the pejorative stage. Nothing we can do for you. Have a cookie. But again, this myth, this idea, which is circulated throughout many, many legends and sagas, it's timeless. It'll go on forever and a day. Dragons are with us to stay. Whether it's Tolkien, who was also a major influence, of course. How could you not think of Tolkien when you're writing a story about dragons and stuff, and heroes, and a quest, which this movie is a quest in more than just one way. So what's the story then, Kilt-Man? What's the story? Well, you've got the land of Ireland, which is miserable. It's raining, it's muddy, it's peat bogs and hovel huts and all that sort of thing, ruled over by a king called, what's his name again? I forgot his name. Cassiodorus Rex. Another mouthful of a name. Cassiodorus Rex. He's played by Peter Eyre, and he's brilliant. But he's a bit of a corrupt king, because what's happening in Ireland? They've got that dragon. That bloody dragon lives in a Welsh slate quarry just down the road. And it likes a sort of an equinox, every equinox that comes along, and in times of stress as well, in times of need, it likes a diet of virgins. Yeah. Who doesn't? I mean, don't hold that against the dragon. Who doesn't? And the way that they do this, there's a lottery that takes place in the township or the kingdom of Ireland. So all the virgin girls, the village, boys can be virgins too, but they don't get picked. They're okay, which is a pivotal thing as well. So all the names go into the big hats and all that, and then the name gets drawn out, and the poor girl will be led down to this very imposing slate and granite boulder area in North Wales, where most of the exteriors are actually filmed. And she'll be chained up to two stakes in the ground, the sacrificial altar. And then an incantation will be read, and old Vermithrax, who is old and evil and spiteful, as we're told, will rise up and flambe his new bride. Her new bride, I should say. This is women being, sort of downtrodden and slaves, but also it's empowering women because Vermithrax is female, as we will find out. And just, cook it. That's it. Barbecue time. Here we go. Party. But the villagers are getting a bit fed up of this, losing their daughters, to this lottery, which, as we will find out, is very corrupt, aren't they all? Because the king, the wise king, Cassiodorus Rex, has withheld a certain name from the lottery. the name of his own daughter, Princess Elspeth, played by Chloe Salaman. He's withheld her name. Villagers don't know that, although I think you would suspect. So that they lose periodically one of their offspring to this fire-breathing bitch dragon, and this bastard king, you know, his daughter gets off scot-free. Anyway, a contingent of Airlanders make the journey down to find the sorcerer Ulrich, Sir Ralph Richardson. But they're very playing the part with is typically sort of aloof, very theatrical, yet slightly ethereal quality. And Ralph Richardson had been in a lot of fantasy movies. He'd been in Time Bandits. You know, he is, you know, the great one. You know, God basically. He's also in Rollerball, playing the librarian. He's also the crypt keeper in Amicus's phenomenal Tales from the Crypt. And he's been in other borderline sort of fantasy movies, and in illustriously long decades and decades and decades, going back to the medieval days themselves, he's been acting since. He's now gone, of course. But he's wonderful. With that strange eye that he has, it gives him a mystical quality, especially early on when the Airlanders, this contingent, go down there to his castle and to implore his help to slay the dragon. You know, you're the last of the sorcerers, and it's the last of the dragons. Or is it? You know, and so this whole questing thing, and it's like the Magnificent Seven, which again is based on Kurosawa, which is based on many legends of people in need, travelling to try and find mercenaries or a hero. Think Beowulf and Grendel, it's all there. So you've got Anglo-Saxon and Norse and Japanese mythology and Wild West mythology, all coalescing in this. Same thing, we're in trouble, we need someone who can save us. So I've heard tell of the old sorcerer, let's go and get him then. Wonder how much he costs. So off they travel, and they will meet, of course, his proprietors. Old Hodge, played by, what's his name, Sidney Bromley, great British character actor in numerous movies and loads of TV comedies and dramas and things. Wonderful, wizened old guy. And American Peter McNichol, who is the sorcerer's apprentice, Galen. He's our hero. Well, he's going to be. Going to learn to be a hero. You've got to learn the hard way, of course, in these things. Nothing ever comes easy in these things. Like, I know from trying to do this bloody video, you know. So they come knock on the door, and their spokesperson asks for the help. And they get turned away initially, but Ulrich will ordain to meet them. And with a little pathetic, rather sort of Penn and Teller sort of magical show of lights, candles come on, and he can turn them off, and then flick of a finger and all that. Like, he will, okay, I'll slay your dragon. But Peter McNichol is his apprentice. This is the sorcerer's apprentice, of course, who's got although he's American, he has that transatlantic drawl, and he does hold his own with a lot of the British, the English thespians who are in this movie as well. There's other Americans here, including the great Wild Western star, Albert Salmi, playing an Airlander as well. And it's great to see him, actually. For a while I thought his voice was dubbed, but apparently it's not. That is his voice, and that's a great British accent, you know. So, yeah. I'll do it. But Master, you know, that's not clever, says Peter McNichol as Galen, who has got this this great sort of inquisitive, cheerful, exuberant, sort of precocious attitude. He's not a little boy, you know, he's sort of, I'm not sure how old he was. I don't even think he's a teen. I think he's about 22, 23, something like that. And but he wants to be a wizard. You know, he'll put the hat on, look in the mirror and all that, like, and he's got the amulets, he'll try little tricks. But anyway, Ulrich says, yeah, okay, I'll do it. Because Ulrich's had a vision. Ulrich knows that this is fate, this is destiny. I've got to do this thing. You stick to your books. And he has a big backpack on and all that, like, you know, but Master, you can't even make it to the top of the hill, you know. I'm a wizard, I'll fly, don't worry about it, you know. And, you know, you keep your nose in your books. You want to be a sorcerer? Oh, yes, Master, I do. Well, you keep learning. Learn from me, boy. Learn from me. But when they're about to make this sort of like journey off, and there's a big bunch of these people, they open the gate from his castle, his old decrepit castle, and there's one of the evil doers of the movie. It's Tyrion. No, not that Tyrion. It's a different. This one's taller. It's Tyrion, played by John Hallam. Now, you saw John Hallam the year before this movie in Flash Gordon, and he's Vultan, Brian Blessed's right-hand man, or his wingman, because they're all Hawkmen, aren't they? And he's great in that. And what always surprised me about John Hallam is that he's not in a great many movies. He has a very theatrical stage persona and presence, and a wonderful voice and a wonderful face that kind of reminds me of the great Peter Wingard as well. And I've always liked him, but it's only in this and Flash Gordon. There should have been more John Hallam. And he plays Tyrion, and he's from the Kingdom of Ireland, and he's King Cassiodorus Rex's sort of lieutenant. And he's there with a bunch of henchmen. Now, he's like, well, are you really a wizard? Really a sorcerer? Can you prove it? Oh, you want to test me? I don't do tests, says Ulrich. Oh, isn't that always the way? They pretend they can do magic, but they don't like to be tested. And when they do get tested, the elements weren't right, or the gods weren't looking, and all this sort of stuff. But he says, oh, all right then, all right. It says to Galen, Peter McNichol, who you would see years afterwards as the great Biscuit in Ally McBeal. It was phenomenal. Don't get me started on Ally McBeal. We'll be here all day because I love that show. And of course I love Barry White as much as Biscuit did in Ally McBeal. Boy, go up to the chest, and you know the one I mean, and go and get me the dagger that's in there. What, master? Yeah, go get me the dagger. So up he goes, finds the dagger, and he, master, this one is in one of the windows at the top. Yes, that's the one. Throw it down, and he throws it down, and it's a lovely shot as well, as it lands like that in this wooden beam, this plank. Just Tyrion's there, and Tyrion's like, "Did you almost throw that at me?" sort of thing. Came very close, and Ulrich comes over, and we learn. I've learned from various commentaries and documentaries that Ralph Richardson, like Peter Cushing, loved playing with props, loved to have something, to use and to wield, and he makes a twist this dagger out, right? Presents it to Tyrion, and opens his cassock or his robe, saying, "Stab me, go on, do it. You can't harm me, you can't kill me." And you can see, that's what I like about John Hallam and his incarnation of what is a bad guy, that he's not massively bad, really. He's got reasons for doing what he does, except in one case, which we'll come on to. And got the dagger, he's like, okay, he's like, just put it there, right. He's like thinking, well, okay, that's what you want, old man. And of course, Galen's up there, he's like, no, tries to run down and save him, but all the doors magically shut, so we can't get out, can't intervene. And poor Hodge, Sidney Bromley's like, and all the Islanders are like, no, there's all one chance, this bastard's killed him, but he only killed, because he does die, he dies, and that weird glassy eye that Ralph Richardson has, just sort of shines enigmatically. And you're like, and it has this sort of serene look, but because of those crazy eyes, it kind of looks like, I know something you guys don't know. And we all know what that is. He ain't gonna die just yet. It's all the trick. And he slumps down, and that's it. Well, so much for your wizard then, your sorcerer. We're stuck with the dragon. So let's head off then. So him and his men ride off, and the poor beleaguered band who came down, to get help, are like, shit, it's all gone awry. But they put Ulrich's body on a pyre, burn that. But the amulet, the magical amulet, Galen, I don't want that, but the amulet will keep trying to find him. So in the end, all right, and it's glowing, right, master, there's a reason for this. I'm going to be the next sorcerer. So the islanders have gone off cross country, upset. To be honest with you, if you were that concerned about this dragon feeding on all your virgins, and if it doesn't get the correct amount of diet, it's going to start ransacking your lands, incinerating your villages and your churches and your whatever, your brothel, and then ransacking your crops and all that, then move. Don't stay. Move. Big country. You've just travelled a load of it. Well, there's plenty of places, I'm sure, in that journey where you could, do you know what? This glen's quite nice. Let's just stay here, shall we? Why can't I do that? Move. Dragons breathe fire. I drink fire water. Cheers, y'all. So Galen and Hodge now go after them, and Galen's got some tricks up his old medieval voluminous sleeves. There's an egg. He's walking through the forest and he's levitating an egg, And but this, I'm gonna really doing all this for him. And Hodge is there, like, you think you're a sorcerer, you know nothing. This is a fool's errand. So he plays literal tricks on Hodge, but they will go and meet up with this band, and he will announce himself. You wanted a sorcerer? I'm your sorcerer. You want your dragon slain? I will slay your dragon. I'm what you need. So we looked and they go, okay, if you can do some tricks, come along then. Got nothing to lose, have we? And then, of course, the main spokesperson from this party will go skinny dipping in the pool, this nice cold lagoon, and waking up in the morning, Galen goes, I think I'll go for a dip in the pool as well. And he strips off, but this other person's in the water. You know what I mean? What's the name of this person? God almighty. Valerian. Although Valerian had, I think, a different name. I can't remember now. But Valerian's in the water. Like, don't you come in here, in a very deep, gruff, manly voice. Don't you come in here. Well, no, don't worry. And he strips off, dives in, and swims up underwater and sees the voluptuous body of a very beautiful woman under the water there. But with the head of what he thought was this youthful bloke who came calling, knocking at Ulrich's door. It wasn't a bloke, it was a girl all along, because what's been happening is her father has, it's only girls that get sacrificed. Well, right from birth, I'm going to pretend that my daughter is actually a son. Let's do that. Got to be honest, in a film that's incredibly convincing when it comes to its dragons, its setting, its era, and everything about it, the sort of pretense that Caitlin Clark, who plays Valerian, is actually a lad, really doesn't work. Got lovely pouty lips, lovely eyes, and even though they give her like man's rough Hessian clothes and like bad bowl head and all that, and what they've done, Matthew Robbins and Hal Barwood said that, and they used Walter Murch as a sound mixer for this. There's a lot of great people from ILM and Spielberg and Lucasfilm and all that who worked on this. But we're going to cover all that, don't you worry. They dropped her voice down an octave or two to make it deep. And that bit in the pool when they're swimming, and the brief bit of nudity, and you've got a bit of nudity. This was a Disney film. Blew you away. Blew your little minds away. Yeah. Can you see is that his willy? Is that his willy? And you see his naked bum as well, like. And then you see her, you're like, wow. Forget the dragons, let's just stay in the pool. And so in that sequence, her voice is ridiculously deep. But the point is, once you know that she's actually a woman, they begin to bring her voice back to its normal level. And then when she reveals to everyone that she actually is a woman, and has been all along, her voice is it's Caitlin Clark's normal voice. And she's great. Wonderful actress. Didn't do that many movies and sadly died of cancer way too young. It really is it's a tragic story. She spent a lot of her time, even when she was ill, being a coach for for acting, and but didn't make that many movies. But she is really good in this. And anyway, so Galen knows the secret, but you keep it secret. Don't tell anyone. Okay, I won't. And they're at the pool, and in a great shot, you actually see a dragonfly, which happened to just go past as they were filming, and it wasn't even the take that director Matthew Robbins wanted. And he was like, "Oh, we'll do another take." And but he went, "No, that dragonfly, because that comes into shot. We'll never get that to happen again." And it's a dragonfly. It's almost like, yes, I believe you're making a film about dragons. Well, here I am. Zzz, zzz. I'm a dragon, little one, but I'm a dragon nonetheless. So you keep it in. But Galen has a vision in the water. A lot of visions in this, reflected in pools and stuff like. And he sees that Tyrion and his men are riding towards them. Now, in the meantime, while they're all camped in the woods, you've seen Tyrion and his men sort of spying on them. And this is the scene that I really don't get, in a way. It's almost like it's just stamping Tyrion out like he really is a bad guy. I know he's just killed Ulrich, but Ulrich made him do it. He didn't do it off his own bat. He made him do it. So it's not really Tyrion's fault. He was just acting under orders, as he is throughout most of the movie. Most of the movie. He will turn against things at some point. But anyway. But he sees Hodge and he goes, "It's not the old sorcerer's retainer." And he goes, "Yeah, I believe it is. Yes, fetch me my bow." You know, he's got that wonderful voice. So he's just, I keep saying, I wish I'd seen more of John Hallam in other movies, but there just isn't any. You know, bring me my bow. And he puts his archer's gauntlet on, and he fucking shoots an arrow into Hodge. So you've got Galen's realised that something's going to happen. He comes running back, and he finds Hodge. It's a desperately horrible sequence, to be honest. And it's a very dark, violent, and mature movie, which Disney did not realise what was coming out, because they weren't seeing the dailies, because it was filmed all the time in the UK. So they had it on side was for Hal Barwood, producer, and Matthew Robbins, director. They had one of the great Disney and Hollywood producers, who was a much older guy, didn't really understand what they were doing. I forgot the guy's name now. Didn't understand, all the special effects and that, but he admired, these are young guys, these are below Spielberg and Lucas and Milius and Coppola, but they were, they knew that crowd. So they had a lot of leeway. And he was like, I admire what they're doing. They're very inventive and they're working every day. They're not just sitting on their asses doing nothing. They're working and stuff's getting done. So he kept on, fending off Disney. Yeah, everything's going great. So even though the dark elements like nudity and there's violence in it, and a pervading sense of doom and despair, which is not exactly, tinkly, dancing mice and cats and dogs and, flying elephants that Disney was renowned for, and bed knobs and broomsticks and all that kind of stuff. He fended them off, said everything's great. So they got away with it, really. Had it been filmed in America, this film would not have happened the way, well, it probably wouldn't have happened. Let's just leave it at that. So he comes across Hodge, who's walking towards us, and he's like, Hodge, and then the camera pans down, and there's an arrow in his chest, and Sidney Bromley does this so well. He's dying, and he's like, he's got one job to do. They burned Ulrich, and as he's lying there dying, he's like, you must cast this into water, and he's got the ashes of the sorcerer of Ulrich. So Galen's got the amulet, but he's also now got his master as well, because this is important. This is very important. Got to do this, And Hodge dies. It's just like, oh God. So Tyrion has killed him out of really no reason at all, other than to make you now hate Tyrion, and now give Galen a reason to hate Tyrion as well, for what will transpire. Anyway, so off they go. Right, you haven't got Hodge, but I'm the man. And a boat trip, and then they get to all this is filmed in North Wales. You have got a finale filmed on the Isle of Skye, but that is only the very end of the movie, and there's not a lot of it, to be honest, that you see, but what you do see is gorgeous. But they film in Castle Curing, and I forgot the name of the castle now. But where else? Tir Fan. Yes, I had to look at the notes because I forgot what it was called. Tiafan is this, said about Vermithrax pejorative's lair, is a granite and slate cavern and a cliff. And this exists now. If you go there, this is a place which is purely prehistoric. And you've got standing boulders of slate, slabs of slate at the most ridiculous and crazy angles. It looks like the spiny back of some kind of dinosaur. And you've got famous, there's a huge piece that juts out over a chasm, and people got to stand on the edge of that, and it's just a big slab of slate. But you go there to this, what eventually is a bit of a quarry that has been mined, but that was ideal for filming the outside of the lair of Vermithrax. So they get there already quite early, and you're like, what's this place? This is the lair of the beast, and of course you've still got Valerian, who's still pretending to be a bloke, and but the voice has risen a little bit now, and she's looking a bit sexier as well, even for a bloke, and suddenly there's a bit of eyeliner gone on. And the fake bum fluff has come off, and this is the lair of the beast, but it's daytime. If we hurry, we won't disturb it. We can get to the village. But Galen's like, no, I want to go and see. And they're like, what are you doing? Are you insane? So I've got my amulet. I'm great. I know the tricks of my master, the sorcerer. And so he goes into the friggin' cave. And you hear like breathing and and rumblings and things, and he will come out of there and he's like, well, hang on a minute, it lives in there. I'll use my magic because the amulet and all this, and he'll bring a huge boulder across, where he thinks the dragon comes out of. But in so doing, because he's only young and he's naive and he hasn't really got the mastery of these skills, he brings down a huge fucking landslide as well. So lots of tumbling rocks and they've got to get out of there. Oh, Jesus. Oh. Not a good day. But he thinks actually it is a good day, so they think. Because they think he's sealed the dragon in. Oh, no. But you know that anyway. So they have a big sort of dance in the village, and Alex North, the composer, comes up with some great sort of medieval pageantry and sort of folky dance music, which really feels of the era. And Valerian goes into their hovel, and their father's the local blacksmith. That'll come in very handy as well. Cheers to all the blacksmiths out there. And you see she's got like dresses, and she's looking at herself in dresses, and her father's like, what are you doing? They might see you. She basically doesn't care anymore. They think the dragon's been sealed away, won't come out again. As if we're only 25 minutes into the movie, for God's sake. And she walks out into the village. It's night time, all flame lit, and they're all dancing around. And she's there as a woman. And you can see they're all looking around, going, what the hell, what's going on here? Like, she's come out. Is this primitive transgender? What's going on here? And Galen can see that they're all sort of, what's going on, and they don't understand. But he always knew, well, since the day before, he knew. So he extends his hand, and the two of them will dance, and everyone will join in dancing. And then, of course, to end the festivities, Tyrion arrives, doesn't he? Tyrion and his henchmen come riding up. And they've specifically designed, now this location, this set that they built for the village is not in North Wales. It's just outside, about 10 miles away from Pinewood Studios, where all the interiors are filmed within the stage one, the Bond set of Pinewood Studios, on a farm called Stocker's Farm. And a fella called Elliot Scott is the production designer, and he creates a really fantastic, altogether more miserable version of Hobbiton in the Shire, because it looks just like that. You've got water wheels and hovels and shacks and lots of greenery, but it's overcast, it's pissing down, and they've got this great, that's why they built it there. There's like a muddy sludge pit which you've got to come riding through, which you'll see people come riding through a few times. It just adds a bit of splash and activity on the frame. They come through, and Tyrion dismounts, and he's being a bit of a snidey bastard, of course. You know, oh, don't stop on my account, please. Play your music. Let's have a drink and celebrate the slayer of dragons. And he's like looking at Galen. And he's like, what do you want? Well, the king is very intrigued by this. You know, you come up here after years we've been fighting and battling this dragon, then we give in to the dragon, and now you've just been here for 5 minutes and you took away all the threat. Well, the king wants to meet you, boy. So off Galen goes to go and meet Cassiodorus Rex. And, well, let's show us some tricks then. So he's in, like, this castle. trying to levitate a chair, a table full of all goblets and amulets and stuff like. And he's doing all his incantations and spells, and nothing happens. And they're all like, yeah, there's all jesters and stuff there in the background. So it's a lovely sort of tableau of people, and Tyrion's just there like that. You know, what's going on here? And then the table will rise and shake about, and then fall over, cascading everything there. And the king's like, so you're the one that's taking care of the dragon, Vermithrax, when for years we've had peace with the dragon because we have the lottery. We sacrifice virgins. Have you heard of so-and-so, so-and-so? And it comes up with this name. He was my brother, a great king, and he vowed he would slay the dragon. Put on his best armour, his best sword, his best spear, and off he went to slay Vermithrax. We never saw him again. And then he becomes king, right? So it wasn't a bad day for him. I'm king now. And so they're not impressed with Galen. And but he's seen that Galen's been sort of clutching something under his shirt, which is the amulet, and he finds this, takes it, and he's like, throw him in a cell. Because I think you haven't killed the dragon, and the dragon will now come back and be very, very pissed off with us. That's not a direct quote, but that's what he's saying. Now, by the way, folks, we have seen a sacrifice, and fantastic stuff it is too. You notice I haven't really got to mention Vermithrax just yet, but I'm going to now. And you see this poor bitch gets led out on a cart and strung up between these two pillars, and the incantation's being read, but the ground's shaking too much and they all get a bit nervous. And you haven't seen the beast as yet, but you hear it, and they have built various body parts, full-size body parts, a tail, a foot, and well, you'll see a lot more of it, but in this sequence we don't see it. And she manages horrendous. I opened the top of that and didn't take a swig. How did he miss? So think Anne Darrow in King Kong, like strung up like that, and the beast will arrive, and it comes up to a fissure in the ground, all steam coming up, like Alex North's music's really blisteringly deep, and like, you know, sphincter tinglingly fucking oboes and bass trumpets and bass clarinets and, you know, contrabass and tubas, and it's just whoa, it's the dirge of the bowels of the earth, and it comes up, and she's prizing her hands free of these manacles, and she's trying to bite through, and there's blood pouring out of her wrists, and she's spitting, trying to get it, and she gets a hand free and manages to get the other hand free and tries to run away. The horse and cart makes a bolt for it. This big tail comes crashing down, blocking her exit. It swings around a bit, like, and then it blocks her exit, and she's screaming and hollering, and her wrists are all bloody. And then we are the dragon looking at her, and then suddenly the gas jets come on and flame, flambéed. So you know that this dragon is a real physical presence. It's not a dainty dragon from any other Disney thing. This is a big bad bitch of a dragon. And yeah, even without seeing its face, it's enormously scary and full of character. You can hear it snarling and like breathing, hissing, and then the deep bellicose roar, and then the flames coming out. It's pure inferno, Dante's Inferno. It is shocking beyond belief. They won't kill the girl, will they? She'll get away. No, they kill the girl. Oh, and they do worse than that, let's be honest. So Galen's thrust into the cell, and he's trying to do magic to try and get the bars. It's one of those cells where it connects to it's against an outside wall with bars where you can look outside and see freedom. Big tease that, isn't it? Like, but the blocks of stone are about, I don't know, 4 or 5 feet bloody thick. So he's trying to do magic to try and break the wall, but he's doing it in like Latin, and suddenly someone speaks to him. A female voice speaks to him. And I understand Latin as well. Like, he turns around and it's Princess Elspeth, the king's daughter. And she's like, I don't agree with what they've done to you. And he turns around and shows that he's been smacked around a bit, like before they flung him in there. And so he's cut and bloodied. And she's like, I don't agree with the tactics, and my father should have done this to you. But and he's like, well, I know why you've not been picked, because you're the king's daughter in the lottery. She's like, no, my name goes in the lottery every time. I make sure of it. And he's like, yeah, you believe that, do you? And he casts a seed of doubt into her mind. So she will go and confront her father, who in the process, using the amulet, he's doing this thing of trying to turn lead into gold. This bloody alchemy thing. Even the sorcerer Ulrich mentioned that at the start when he's talking to Galen. He's saying like, so-and-so, the sorcerer, he could turn lead into gold. I could never do that. It's great though, it's little throwaway stuff like that. But you've got these two, Peter Eyre as the king, and they've got the amulet, and they're trying to do this thing. It's like, oh God, it's not working. And then she confronts them, father. Basically, does my name go in the lottery? Of course it does. It's everything's fair and all that. She says, I don't believe you. I don't believe it. I've been kept safe all this time, and you're letting other families are losing their daughters to the dragon, and I've been kept free. It's not fair. So she's a forward-thinking woman as well. So you've got to praise the movie and the script that they come up with, because it does this. It's doing sort of medieval subjugation, class subjugation, gender subjugation. It's embracing the new aspects of religion, which we'll come on to, and also the older pagan ways, the days of magic and all that. And all this, so it's all coming together. But you've got this forward-thinking princess. She's like, I want my name in the lottery. Now, of course, at the same time this is going on, that bloody dragon, which Galen thinks is imprisoned, it's fluttering its wings, it's scuttling about, and it's causing bloody earth tremors everywhere. So the village is all getting, Christ, the pots are coming loose, the thatch is coming off the roof, and the castle's shaking a bit about. So there's lots of turmoil, and luckily for Galen, it causes things to break, and she frees him. Sorry, she frees him from the cell, and he's like, thank you and all that, like, and he runs off, and there's chaos in the courtyard, because that's my version of it's murder on the dance floor. It's chaos in the courtyard. That's going to be the Christmas #1. I bet you. Cheers, y'all. And he sees some guy fall off his horse. So he gets on the horse and he starts riding it around. Think Mel Gibson in Braveheart when he rides into the castle to put the mace in some guy's head. Oh, God, he betrayed him. And he's riding around the corridors of the castle. Well, Peter McNichol playing Galen, they trained him on horses. And they got him up to speed, literally, on horses. And they did a lot of things. He learned to become a very, very highly skilled equestrian for this movie. They'd have him on the saddle, but he wouldn't be able to use the reins. Then they'd take the reins away. Then they'd take the saddle away. And he had to climb up on the horse and turn around and ride backwards on the horse and do all sorts of stuff. Really asking way beyond what he does in the movie. Because you see him on this horse, but he can't get out the gates. And all of a sudden, Tyrion and his henchmen are after him. So he rides through the castle. And it's a great sequence. galloping, clip-cloppity down the stone floors and all that, and he's kicking and knocking aside, henchmen and guards and that, and he ends up in the main stateroom of the king, and where his experiment went wrong with the chair and all that, and he's trying to find the amulet as well. That's the other thing. He needs to get the amulet, but anyway, he's got to get away, and they all arrive there, and he's like, oh shit, I'm trapped. But it's good horse, and it's him on the horse doing all these things, riding around and all that, kicking people aside. And then suddenly, because of the earthquakes, the whole back wall goes down. And this is a great shot as well. It looks wonderful. All the dank, dismal, shadowy, gothic qualities of the castle. And he rides through the rubble of this broken wall on this horse, out into lovely green meadows and a bit of a blue sky. It's still not very sunny, let's put it that way, but it's much brighter than it was indoors. And he manages to make his getaway, and he'll ride back to the village, and they'll hide him in the blacksmith's smithery, whatever you call it. Forgot what it's called now. His house. Let's call it his house. With on the anvil, always bang, ching, tss, making swords and horseshoes and what have you. I forgot what it's called. What's a blacksmith? I really can't remember that. To my endless shame, I can't remember the blacksmith's working place is called. God damn it. To a guy that has numerous swords, axes, knives and spears and lots of hand-forged weaponry. That is terrible. Forge. That's it. Smithy's Forge. Sweet Jesus. We got there in the end. Anyway, so they hide him underneath the anvil because Tyrion and his men come in there. Where is he? And by the way, your son, your daughter, is up for the next lottery because the dragon is still alive. The dragon has obviously surfaced as well and caused fucking bedlam because it did rise out the ground. And you've had the great Ian McDiarmid, who plays Emperor Palpatine in Star Wars. He plays a monk called Brother Jacopus, big fat hairy catapus, who's bringing Christianity to the village and to the people of Ireland, and he's there. But it's Ian McDiarmid, the Emperor. But in this, he's a good guy. Well, he's a good guy, but his goodness will end up being pretty bad for him because he'll lead a delegation to Vermithrax's lair, and and they've got like a big cross, a big sort of Celtic cross it'll be, and it starts reading out, because you are the devil, it's not a dragon, it is the devil, it is Satan himself and all that, and this is Vermithrax coming out, and a bit like Valerian coming out. Vermithrax comes out and everyone's fled, and he's there we can't get away. Wreckage ensues everywhere. He gets trapped under rocks, and he stands up and manages to face off against the dragon. And once again, with the poor virginal sacrifice, we are the dragon. And in a great, although albeit quick scene, which mimics Raiders of the Lost Ark, where you see faces melt, and at the end, when the Ark's power's unleashed, it incinerates his head, and his skin all burns off his skull in a split second, and we see him engulfed in flames and collapse in a big, horrible, conflagration, and then the dragon will go, and it starts laying waste to the village, and the fledgling church that he built and all this, and chaos. So Galen sees that as well, but you think, hang on, they're going to turn on him because he was the one that you reckon you've sealed the dragon away and we're in no trouble anymore, and then next thing you know, it's angry, pissed off, as King Cassiodorus Rex said it would do. He was right. So Galen has been a fuck up. Galen has caused chaos and death and carnage. He has, inadvertently, but he has. So he's now got something to prove, but they hide him underneath the anvil, and Tyrion comes in with all his men, and it's just like when they're searching for Brian in Life of Brian. And John Cleese and about 1,000 legionaries come in and search this place. They're marching around and they can't find him at all. And they walk out. Anyway, they can't find him. So, but don't forget, your son, your daughter, is going to be in the next lottery because there's going to be one. There's going to be one, because we're going to please the dragon again now. It's all your fault, You brought this guy in. Anyway, so there is another lottery done. And Galen's been hiding underneath this anvil. And Valerian's father has created already a weapon which hasn't really been tested. Its full metal hasn't been tested properly. And it's called the Dragonslayer, the best one ever made. And when no one's looking, they all sneak out to a big waterfall and they hook, that's where it's been lurking. And they haul it out, and then they start fashioning this. It's never been used. But using the amulet, let's give it some mystical strength and power. Let's see if this works. And it begins to glow, and it's a big medieval lightsaber. It's a huge big spear. That's what it is. It's called the Dragonslayer. Ta-da! Bang! 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 I'm going to use this. But another lottery is called, and obviously Valerian is now up for the lottery as well. But it's a great sequence, and the guy pulling the names out of the hat, he pulls a name out, and he's like, and they're all like the chips, little flinty chips have been carved on, and he's like, I can't pronounce the name on this. Let's do it again. No, there must be some mistake here. This is not. Let's do it again. Every name's the same, and it's Princess Elspeth, because she has now sabotaged it, and she comes forward. Yes, it's my name. There's no mistake. It is me. I am the sacrifice. You'll find all the names in there are the same. They're all my name. And the king's like, no, this must be some mistake. No. And she confesses, all these years, my name's been held back. So you've all lost someone that you love. When I've been spared, well, I won't do that. I won't stand for it anymore. So now I'm going to right the wrong of all these years. It's really brave. It's incredibly brave. So she's going to put herself forward for sacrifice. And they do. They put her forward for sacrifice. Now, Galen tries again to, defeat the dragon. Fails. But King Cassiodorus Rex gets him and says, look, I want you. Oh yeah, sorry, I've missed a bit out here. Galen didn't have the amulet at first, but he gets the he has to sneak back into the castle because the king nicked the amulet off him. So he has to get back in there, and they do catch him, and there's a million spears aimed at his neck. Sorry, I did miss this bit out, but it happens. We go off on tangents, and hey, we always get back there again, don't we? And we enjoy the journey in between. Cheers, y'all. So they're all like, let's kill him now. But the king's like, no. Because the king now knows, shit, my daughter's up for, barbecue. So I'm going to have to, you can kill the dragon, yes, with, the amulet. Go, my son, go, save my daughter. So, amulet, Dragonslayer, go out there. But of course, the princess has been chained up and all that. Tyrion arrives. Now, in the meantime as well, whilst they've been making Dragonslayer, Valerian has slipped off and gone into the dragon's cave herself, and she's picking up dragon scales, because obviously, the fucking dragon breathes fire, and it doesn't get itself burnt. Well, the dragon scales have got to be pretty much impervious to flame. So imagine the power of a shield made out of dragon scales. I'll do this, and she will make a lovely dragon scale shield. Not sure how she's bonded them all on, but maybe blue tack. Maybe it's blue tack. Blue tack, medieval, dark age blue tack. She created a shield, but she encounters something else in there as well. Yes. There's not just Vermithrax pejorative there. It's got little babies. little dragonettes, little dragonings. They're there as well. Which does pose a question, of course. Who's the daddy? Who is the daddy? You ain't going to find out. And I don't know. But anyway, there are little baby dragonlings there as well. Loathsome fuckers they are as well. But Galen goes up there to go and do battle. And she gives him, there's your shield. Well, I've got to save the princess. Oh, of course, because you love her, don't you? And he's like, well, no, I don't really love her. I love someone else. I love you. And and basically he can save her from any future sacrifices, because let's just do it now on this granite slate slab. Let's just do it now. Won't be comfortable for you, but I don't mind. I don't mind knee scrapes. So a love deed is done, and he will meet the dragon, but the princess still gets sacrificed, and he will then go up there to save her. And this is where Tyrion comes back in, and this is why he killed Hodge makes this so important, because Galen will have to fight Tyrion now. But it's clever, because Tyrion's not, I keep saying he's not an evil man. He's not that kind of stereotypical bad guy just doing evil for evil's sake. He's got his reasons, and the reasons are thus. He knows that the king has been corrupt the whole time, but he can't stop that. But now the daughter's up there. He knows the dragon's pissed off and has to have a sacrifice to keep the peace. So you can't so the king wants Galen to save his daughter, but Tyrion knows saving the daughter is only going to make it worse for all of us. So I've got to make sure that that Galen can't save her, and she gets sacrificed, so that we're all going to be okay for a while. So he has to fight, Galen and kill Galen to stop this taking place. So he's going against the orders of the king, but he knows that the orders of the king have been standing for decades and have worked. So, but they will fight, and it's a reasonable fight. It's not the greatest of fights, but in so doing, when they're because Galen's using Dragonslayer, swinging it round, and John Hallam as Tyrion's got his sword, and there's a bit of clashing taking place. But Princess Elspeth, because Galen frees her, and Elspeth manages to get away, but doesn't get away. Where does she go? Because she knows that she's got to die. So she goes into the bloody cave. She goes to meet, what she thinks she's going to go and meet Vermithrax. And in a great moment, Galen manages to skewer through one of the ritual sort of altar posts, the sacrificial posts. Tyrion's on the other side, straight through, and he's like, Tyrion's like, shit, it could have been somebody. Yeah. He pulls it back out again, like, down he goes. But where's the princess? Here's a scream, legs it in there. He's got his shield, he's got his spear, goes in there. And what do we see there? And this is the thing that made this film really, really fucking out there. Everyone's going, this is a Disney film. This is Disney. The House of Mouse. Walt Disney made this. No, because Walt Disney didn't make it. Goes in there, and those little baby dragons, they're eating Princess Elspeth. The princess hasn't survived at all. She has fulfilled the sacrificial, need, but she's lying there, bloodied, and these two fucking dragons are all over her. One's nibbling on her throat. One is eating through her ankle, and it will come up with its foot in its mouth. And Galen's like, holy shit, there's more, and there's gore. This is a Disney film. There's bloody body bits. And he decapitates one of these fuckers. Whoosh, like head comes off. Then he'll fight another one, which is all over him. He's bashing shite out of it, and he manages to kill that one. And then he will proceed in with his dragon scale shield and his Dragonslayer lance and spear into the lake of fire. which is actually unbelievably, it's a very small set that they built, but with the fantastic camera work and set design. Camera work by Derek Van Lint and set design by, Jesus, I forgot that one. Set design. Elliot Scott, that's the guy. I think it's Elliot Scott anyway. And Peter Howard. And it's a very small set, but it looks like a huge subterranean lake which is on fire. There's fire there. And as Matthew Robbins says, like, it formed pillars of fire which were very dangerous but looked amazing. So we, not just keep it going guys, keep filming. And the stepping stones, which of course, like, Galen trots across these and he's standing there. It looks incredible. And we see almost like Jaws, like a shark fin, sort of, or better yet, Predator, as it goes into that big lagoon in Predator. Arnie's washed up in the mud and all that, and you just see this thing bubbling underneath the surface. You see that coming towards him, and then the water begins to bubble behind him, and as he's looking one way, suddenly Vermithrax pejorative will rise behind him. And it's a Goliath, it's a Godzilla, it's a King Kong sort of shot. It just rises and rises and rises. And he's going to realise, you're behind me, aren't you? Shit. Turns around and we see Vermithrax rising up on its legs. And it's got bat wings, like this bastard here. What they did, it was like a Pterosaurus, the fossil bones that you found, a Pterosaurus and a bat combined. So this dragon does not have 4 legs. Everyone who made this movie said that dragons don't have 4 fucking legs. They have 2 legs, and their front legs are modified into the big, huge bat wings that they have. That's what they are. And they're basing it on fossils, not of dragons, but of dinosaurs. And so that's how this thing looks, and it rises up. And it has sort of a ridged, sort of almost horned skull. Reminiscent of Maleficent. That's a great line, isn't it? And it just goes, it looks at him. Flames. Whoa. Shield up. Shield works. Bloody hell. Valerian. Good move on your part there. And he's there with his fucking spear. Battle ensues. It's great. He's impervious to the flames when he's got his shield, but he'll get kicked around a fair bit. And we're seeing Vermithrax in almost all her glory. She's not flying yet, but we see it, and it's just this. We have seen a shadowy swooping thing destroying the village, but you haven't seen Vermithrax properly just yet. But now you are. You'll manage to worm through the caverns and the caves and the tunnels. But we see how Vermithrax actually does get through all these, because it uses, the wings will fold in, and its front legs are actually the wings, so it's clawing its way through, and it looks amazing, and it'll come after him. And then another effects extravaganza, and I'll talk about the effects properly, but for the dragon and everything, it'll come through a cave with a sort of ledge above it, and there he is, giggling, and he'll jump on its back. And then a small stop motion version of him will be on this back, but he jumps onto the real full scale neck and head of the dragon. And you've got Peter McNichol writhing around trying to stab this thing. And he does stab it a few times, and he will get that spear, Dragonslayer will get into it, but it will snap it off and all that, but doesn't kill it. Dragonslayer does not slay the dragon at all. So Galen's got to get away, but the bloody dragon is now free. It's outside, it's up there, it's flambeing everything left, right and centre. And he's failed. Shit, the spear didn't work after all that, So he's going to make a getaway. And the dads say, look, you two just fucking go. You and me daughter, it's all fucked up here now. Go on. This is Inferno land, So just go. So they are going to go. And then suddenly, Galen remembers what Hodge said, you know, the ashes of Ulrich, you've got to throw them into water. And he sees a reflection in the water, again, of this great big lake. And he's like, right, I've got to go back. I've got to go back and throw these in the lake of fire. He's like, you've got to go back? Are you crazy? You know, look at this. I'm really a woman. Look at this. Let's just go away. Buy the castle somewhere else. Let's go and meet Conor McLeod, because he's around there somewhere, you know, just north of the border. And they go back to the lair of the beast, and he will sprinkle all this in there, and a beautiful spectral emerald green light will emanate. Flames will be extinguished, and suddenly Ulrich, Sir Ralph, comes back. He's up, floating, like Gandalf comes back after fighting the Balrog, another fire demon beast, and they fall into the chasm and all of that. Yeah, the whole thing is very connected. And he comes back, floats across its side, and in a great, because you know, like as a kid you're like, wow, he's back. You knew he's coming back. It was bloody obvious he's coming back. He knew he was coming back. He bloody said so. It was all a test. He foresaw destiny. He knew he'd have to be killed by Tyrion to come back later on to save the day, and Galen would have to go through all of this sort of, you know, manhood sort of thing. This journey beyond, this odyssey, all that kind of thing. You know, script armor, you know, that kind of thing. And he comes floating back and he goes like, "You got any food? I could murder a Sarnie right now. I'm starving. I've been dead for a few weeks, you know." And he's like, "Oh, Master, you're back." Yeah. Well, there's things to do, and you've got something else to do as well, my boy. So the stage is set for the big finale. The dragon's on the loose. You know, it's giving it loads. It's sweeping up onto the Welsh mountains and perching there and looking down malevolently at everything. You know, I'm pissed off now. Oh, because as well, how did I forget this? It's the dead bodies of its offspring, and in a great moment, you know, it nudges the carcass with its big, you know, hot snout. Nudges this carcass to see, and babies are dead. The babies aren't pretty. Deliberately, they made the babies look ugly as fuck, and they're big, sort of like tortoise heads, but worse, you know. And they didn't give them eyes. The eyes are all like mouldy and hooded over. If you give something eyes, you give it soul, and that's what they did to the dragon, to Vermithrax. They realised, specifically in this sequence, well, the dragon has to be upset, and you know, it's lost its babies. So how are we going to translate that and give sympathy for the dragon? You know, and you know, you got to put light on its eyes. You got to show its eyes. Oh, yeah. So they did. So you do see the dragon. You see the dragon's eyes a lot because they realise we've got to show the dragon's eyes from this point onwards. So here's the medieval dance. It might not be murder on dance floor, but it's going to be chaos in the courtyard. And that record's coming out. 12-inch mega mix. Dragon mix. So they put the eyes lit up, and do you understand? And in a great shot as well, the dragon sort of rears up like that, but they cut to the cave entrance, and you just hear this roar, this bellicose roar of despair and anguish. So all of a sudden, the dragon's, you know, it's lost its own kids, for God's sake. And then you get the final standoff with the sorcerer, the last dragon, apparently. Well, where's the dad? Where's the dad? So, and you get this wonderful sort of battle takes place on the mountaintops with stormy clouds and a huge, when alignment of stars and planets is going to take place. You always get these things as well, don't you? And it's got to happen at a certain time. So like Ulrich says to Galen, you know, this is the end for me. I will die and it will die, but you've got to destroy this, and this will kill me in it. So, but Master, when do I do it? You'll know when. Why do movies always do this? You'll know the time. I'd be like, But will I? You've got to be more specific. Tell me exactly what signs are I've got to look out for so I know exactly when to smash the amulet. Please, just give me a clue. You'll know the time. And then, little green orb, and suddenly he's at the top of a mountain, and he's basically, come on, Vermithrax, let's dance. And so Vermithrax is swooping down, looking great, looking absolutely amazing. The effects for the dragon, again, I could spend hours talking about this. The effects they did, this is ILM, this is Phil Tippett, this is Dennis Muren, this is Ken Ralston, this is, there's more of these guys. Chris Wayless, who did The Fly 2 and did the effects for the Gremlins and all that, and a lot of other movies. These are all working on this movie. And they did Empire Strikes Back, the Town Towns and the Imperial Walkers, stop motion. And they wanted to, look, stop motion's great, but what they realised was, and this is dead clever, that stop motion in movies, the thing that's moving, which you suspend your disbelief, is in total clarity at every single time, in every single frame that you see, moved frame by frame, painstaking operation, of course. How are we going to... In reality, things don't move in crystal clarity. In movement, there's a blur. We want to make this dragon, who's going to be swooping around and climbing through the caverns and tunnels, we want to make, that's the wings folding in, its little 4 feet, on the wingtips, crawling through. We've got to give it a sense of reality and movement and weight and density. So we used this fledgling device called Go Motion on Empire Strikes Back, but we didn't eliminate it made it smoother, but it didn't eliminate the arch unrealism of it. We want to get that blur. So Go Motion evolved for this movie, and what they did, using an Apple II computer and a purpose-built rig for the smaller versions of the dragon, whether it's crawling through the caves or whether it's flying, we're gonna have it. It's on rods. It's a puppet. We can't not use rods to operate it. So we're gonna have to use the computer to remove the rods, but we can also expose the film as we're filming it. So it's not quite as painstaking and tedious an operation as normal stop motion animation. I have to shut those curtains because suddenly Vermithrax has illuminated the skies. Excuse me, y'all. There we go. And I'm back. Not what you wanted, obviously. But so we can eliminate all that and give it a fluidity of movement with the Apple II computer and this purpose-built rig to keep it moving and all that. And it works. It does look. It's obviously now dated because things have moved on even more since then. But even now, CG is weightless. They can't give CG creations a sense of genuine weight. You have to have a real tangible thing there for people to react against and to give impact. So that your eye, the connection your eye makes from what it's seeing and what your brain perceives, it has to be real as possible. Most CG doesn't achieve that, but a puppet might be fake, but it has that sense of it's in there and that person is there, that landscape is there, and it's moving in a more realistic fashion. And they achieved it with Dragonslayer. Vermithrax looks amazing. Chris Wayless, who did Gremlins and that, there was another incarnation of the dragon, which was a big, huge hand puppet. Those dragonettes feeding on the princess and then attacking Galen, that's Chris Wayless's hand inside these. You would have Chris Wayless's hand inside the big Vermithrax head as well, moving that around for, when it's nudging the babies, and also facial expressions and snarling and, you bastard, fucking humans, I hate them, but they're so damn tasty, so I can't do without them. He would have his hand inside this huge elaborate puppet, this huge glove puppet thing. So there's a huge variety of effects brought into this movie, but when they have it flying, they had to resist the temptation to make its wings do that, because now I'm in two minds about this, because I'd like to have seen that, but Matthew Robbins and Hal Barwood and all the effects crew, Phil Tippett and Dennis Muir, said like, yeah, it kind of makes it look unrealistic. So it was more dynamic to how it's swooping, very graceful. Its wings just kind of really static. So it just gave it a more gliding sort of effect. I don't know. I'd like to have seen those wings do a bit of... But no, it gives it too much of a bird-like impression. This is a mythical beast. It travels differently. I don't know. It's got like an exhaust pipe and all that. Actually, if you got flames coming out the front, you'd expect smoke coming out the back, wouldn't you? You know. But anyway, it looks amazing. So it's just swooping and doing lots of aerodynamics around the doom-laden skies, because they've brought forth the clouds and the storms are coming in, and with his almost Gandalf-like staff, Ralph Richardson is facing off against the dragon. And it'll swoop down and it'll bite his shoulder and he's all bloody and all that. Like, then he'll be engulfed by flame, but because he's a sorcerer and the power of the amulet is still there, he withstands the flames and his staff gets burnt. He throws that down, charred and you know, barbecued. Dragon comes back, fucking picks him up, flies off with him. In the meantime, you've had Galen fighting with Valerian. She's got the amulet and she's like got a big rock. She's like, let's just smash it. They've climbed up to the top of another mountain. You know, so there's a lot of epic scaling of heights in this movie as well. And she's trying to bring it down. He's like, no, gotta wait for the moment. She goes, this is the moment, for God's sake, this is the moment now. And anyway, while he's in the dragon's clutches, what's his name? Ulrich just goes. Obviously, a sorcery enhanced voice to echo across the mountainside and the entire huge swathes of landscape. Galen, now! He's like, oh shit, right, give me that rock. Right, bugger off, bitch. Boosh! Smashes that. And then you get, if you take the Death Star out of the big Death Star explosion, and you put in the big revamped explosion from the remodded Star Wars movie, you've got that explosion, which wipes out both, obviously, Ulrich and Vermithrax. The Vermithrax will spiral down, and fall into a huge lake. Another one of these lakes. And the huge resulting tsunami erupts in flames as well. And Vermithrax lies there dead. And the water's all gone. It's completely destroyed this lagoon. So you've got all the newfound Christians, because in the meantime you've had that Albert Salmi I mentioned earlier from the Western movies. He plays a guy called, let me find it, Grail. Father Jacobus. Ian McDermott got flambéed, but you've seen Albert Salmi speaking to people at a big party and all that. Like, there's a new faith in town. It's called Christianity. About God, Jesus. Come on, I'll tell you about it. He's been trying to coerce people, and he has done this. And you even see Valerian's father goes and gets christened. So you're seeing religion, modern religion, taking a foothold in this old, belief in the mystic arts and sorcery and dragons, suddenly usurping the Erlanders. And so they all arrive on top of this ridge, and there's a huge full-scale blasted carcass of Vermithrax with they got all those of giblets and flesh and meat and offal from all the local abattoirs and butcheries, and they brought them all in and plastered it all over this fucking big prop. And they're there, Galen and Valerian. They've lost. Ulrich's gone now. Ulrich, his destiny was to kill the dragon, to come back again. Again, it's Christ-like, isn't it? Christ sacrifices himself to come back for our salvation. Ulrich killed himself to give chance to everybody else to try to do the right thing, but I've got to come back and do my final sacrifice to save all of you from all of this old shit. And I believe that's written in the Bible as well. I've got to save you from all this old shit, And So he's done his deed, he's done the right thing, and Galen and Valerian are there. But old Cassiodorus Rex turns up with his lovely slippers and purple socks on, and comes down, and they give him a sword. Your sword, my liege. And they give him that sword, and he just goes, don't forget, he's lost his daughter. His daughter did die, got devoured by baby dragons. And he plunges the sword into this gibletty carcass, and suddenly they're all going like, well, his minions are going like, all hail Cassiodorus Rex, Dragonslayer. And of course, that's the beautiful irony of the whole thing. He becomes the Dragonslayer. He didn't do a damn thing, like, obviously, but you got Galen and Valerian sort of like exchange looks. Right, we're off. Let's get out of here. The whole thing's turning very, very horribly religious. Let's go. I've still got bits of magic, you know. I can make eggs float in midair, you know. I can make your clothes fall off just by looking at you, you know. And so they go off, and we're now in the Isle of Skye. We've been in North Wales for the majority of this movie, and Pinewood Studios, and then Stocker's Farm just outside of Pinewood. But now you're in the gorgeous Isle of Skye, and the sun's come up. It's gorgeous. It's beatific. Mountains, there's lochs, rivers, lovely ravines. It's all very pastoral. And they're saying, you know, tell you what, we couldn't have to do with a fucking horse, because this is, you know, Peter McNichol's going like, yeah, I learned all them horse skills, for God's sake. They made me ride a horse on ranches, day in, day out, riding backwards, riding on me hands, riding underneath the horse, you know, hanging onto its tail, doing everything. Could do with a horse, my kingdom for a horse. And then, beautifully, a white stallion appears on the ridge, and the two of them turn around and smile. It's Ulrich. Hey, go on, have a horse then. Go on, piss off. And then the two of them ride off into the Isle of Skye sunset, and to make little sorcerer babies somewhere else. Folks, Dragonslayer is an incredible movie. It is violent, it is dark, it is dismal. It paints a very despairing look and a very realistic look at medieval Dark Age sort of sensibilities and the environment. But it plays up myth, folklore, legend. It is playful. Galen's, little attempts at magic are genuine, but he's just not that great. He hasn't progressed that far. You can levitate eggs and make clothes fall off and backpacks fall off people's backs and then put them back on people again. You can do little sleight of hand stuff like that. But you can see him entertain the village kids, with little tricks with the pee under the goblet and all that kind of stuff. Which you haven't gonna be magic to do that shit. But he had the courage to try to fight the dragon, failed, and then realised, oh shit, consequences of his actions have led to deaths. Now I've got to do this. I've got to, fulfill the promise of my master, and I've got to win the heart of the girl I love, who used to be a boy, and I've got to save the princess. I've got all these things to do. But even then, he fails and he doesn't save the princess at all. Shock horror, the princess dies, and dies horribly. You don't expect that at all. And even Cassiodorus Rex, the corrupt king. If you were the king, you're not going to put your daughter's name in that hat, are you? No, you ain't going to do that. So, you understand it. And Tyrion, I say the one thing that Tyrion, John Hallam does, which is that's just for evil's sake, when he kills Hodge, bring me my bow. I don't know why he does it, other than plot armor, and it's just like, well, Galen's got to have a good excuse to come after me and fight me. But in that sequence where he fights Tyrion, Tyrion's got every reason for doing what he's doing. He believes, King, we need the lottery, we've got to sacrifice virgins. And now, just because it's your daughter, if you don't let her be sacrificed, then we're all going to get, incinerated. Do you not? We can't let this little upstart save her. So I've got to kill him to save the rest of us. I get that. It's genuinely important. There's a fairy dragon going past there. Just 1 second, she needs to go out. Alex North's fantastic score. Dark, gloomy, powerful, ominous, massively brooding and deep. Also has these sprightly moments that are just these pageantry moments. And it's massive sort of contradiction, you know. 1 second. No! Which one of you bastards did that? Well, I told you it was ripped in half, and that's insured it now, hasn't it? Well, hey, at least nothing else fell over yet. But while we're on the subject of the music, Alex North did the score for 2001: A Space Odyssey for Stanley Kubrick, and Kubrick threw it out. Alex North wasn't too pleased about that, because what he did, Kubrick then replaced it with needle drop classical music, and which is still great, but it's not the score. You can get Alex North's score, and it's wonderful. You've heard some of it, because he did put some of that score, that unused score, into his score for Dragonslayer. People make out that all the scores, it's not. There are elements of it, and there's reworkings of ideas from 2001. But this score is magnificent. I appreciate that some people do not like it. That's really annoyed me, that has now. We got so far through this, and I obviously pushed too far, and it's dissonant. It's very baroque. It's contrapuntal. Contrapuntal writing means that he's written many melodies, many melodic lines, which he will drive together, but they're all different, so they collide. Now, you either like that or you don't. It's very shrill stuff. There's bell trees and chimes. There's a Wagner tuba in there. There's loads of real deep contrabass brass stuff going on here. There's organs, there's all sorts, there's piccolos, there's very shrill woodwinds, there's log drums, there's military drums, snare drums, there's all sorts of percussion going on. It's a very crazed and anguished and very primal score. It's like a kind of cousin to Basil Polidoris scored Conan the Barbarian, and the sound that he created for that movie it's from no particular historical period, but Conan, the Hyborian Age, it sounds like the music from the Hyborian Age. It does. And this music sounds like it's from the Dark Ages, even though there's no real historical precedence for this, what people can base it on. So even his sort of dance music for the village people dancing around in celebration, it sounds genuine, but there's no real historical, ideas to base it on. But it sounds like what you think would be the sort of sound. And Alex North is just amazing. An East Coast guy with lots of adventurous ideas, but also brought up on the classics as well. Now, he loved Prokofiev. Now, also, Matthew Robbins and Hal Barwood, the two who wrote this and directed and produced it, they were massive fans of Prokofiev as well. And so that's how they kind of got him on board. Well, we like that kind of dissonant modernist style, although be set against a historical background. And they got North on board with that. Okay, you young guys, I think I'm an aging hippie myself. I think I know where you're coming from there. I can do dragons, and boy did he do dragons, because the sound. Let's just get onto that again. You've got log drums, military drums. You've got incredible bass, brass, and you've got these shrill woodwinds. The log drums. Oh, let's have a look. There's a euphonium as well, contrabass, trombone, harpsichord and organ, baritone and bass oboe, You know, he's plumbing the depths, isn't he? You know, these things are really deep and dark and like, ugh. But they really totally encapsulate a dragon living in the bowels of the earth, you know? A primal beast. But yeah, Vermithrax, the most terrifying dragon ever put on screen. I love the film Dragonheart with them. Oh yeah, Sean Connery is a dragon. Yes, you know. The secret's in the stars. You know, all this kind of shit. Like, but dragons shouldn't be able to speak. They've got no fucking vocal cords, have they? So what's going on there? And like a lot of other, like they have to train your dragon and all that kind of stuff. These dragons can talk. All these dragons can bloody speak. And who was it? Anne McCaffrey, was it? Who did the all those dragon book novels? But they were genetically modified dragons, and they spoke telepathically with their riders, controllers. So it's understandable that can happen. But that's massive husky slurping water there. Oh, I can compete with that. Go. Don't walk on the remains of that poster, whatever you do. Please don't do that. Can't believe that finally did go. But that's what happened yesterday. It just sheared itself in half like that. And there it is again. Blue tack didn't hold. The mystical blue tack, its powers gave out because real religion has moved in now. And now we use Christian sellotape and things to keep things together. But the old pagan blue tack ways, they're long gone now. But yeah, folks, Dragonslayer. There's so much more I could say. The performances are wonderful. Peter McNichol actually looks like Harry Hamlin. Harry Hamlin at the same time as this was doing Clash of the Titans, you know, for Ray Harryhausen. They both got the same curly barnet, and there's a lot of shots in this of the more pudgy-faced, Rich coming from me, I know, pudgy-faced Peter McNichol, who he's looking right into camera, and he's illuminated by flames or whatever. He looks just like Harry Hamlin, you know, who plays Perseus in Clash of the Titans. So that's nice, a nice little connective tissue there. Caitlin Clark is lovely. I massively prefer dark-haired women, brunettes in particular. A married one, and she is lovely. When I watch it, I do find it kind of jokey when she's trying to be the bloke, and we're looking for the sorcerer Ulrich. You know, it is her voice. They just dropped it down an octave or two to try and, you know, give it more like, you know, there's a pair of bollocks hanging there as well, pulling your vocal cords down, and you've got an Adam's apple. Now, how did you get away with that one? You know, it's not convincing at all. You know, if I was like, you know, Galen, and this came knocking at my door, being a man, I'd still be thinking like, oh no, maybe I've got other ideas, because I'm kind of strangely drawn to this guy. He's got a very cute face. And it is them in the water as well. Nudeness. It is them. You don't see a great deal. You probably see more of Peter McNichol swimming there. There's his little sorcerer's wand, you know, dangling in the water. Disney, what were you thinking? Well, they weren't thinking, were they? They didn't know it was happening. The film came out and sank abysmally. Although it was critically lauded and, you know, praised, no bastards went to see it. Like with The Thing the following year, only I went to fucking see it and loved it and praised it and told everyone about it. And then missed it. Same with Blade Runner. Now, 2 weeks after this film came out, Raiders of the Lost Ark, for, you know, their friend, the makers of this movie, their friend Steven Spielberg, well, their friends Lucas and Spielberg, their big blockbuster came out. Raiders. Indy was born, and it just dominated. The way it goes, isn't it? And although Matthew Robbins does say, like, you know, yeah, shit. But good luck, friends of mine. At a preview screening of Dragonslayer, he was sitting next to George Lucas, and Lucas said, with his big, massive double chin, he went, his big bullfrog throat, he went, you've got a hit there. Only they didn't have a hit there. It didn't happen, did it? Oh dear God. In the Oscars for visual effects, it was nominated. Alex North's score was nominated, but lost out. Raise Lost Ark got the visual effects. So, oops a daisy there. But the film did become one of these cult movies. So, like Blade Runner, like The Thing, it grew legs on home video. People loved it, and word of mouth got around. Suddenly, you like fantasy movies, action movies. You want to watch Dragonslayer? Oh, it's boss, you know, it's great. Go and watch it. So people suddenly found it a new lease of life. But it took Disney, like the black hole. It's like when Disney shunned them. The black hole, which I've talked about a lot as well, which has themes of obsession, murder. You've got Anthony Perkins being eviscerated by Maximilian, the big demonic, big gleaming crimson burgundy robot with his spinning claw hand. He gets completely gutted by that. And you've got this completely bizarre, ethereal, ambiguous ending, which no one has to click. We've gone through the black hole and all that. And you've got a crew of undead, misshapen, zombie-like creatures. It's a dark, dark movie. But Dragonslayer is darker still. And Dragonslayer is the better film. The acting is better. The story is better. Because the black hole is just a reworking of 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. Don't get me wrong, I love the black hole. I'm just saying that these two are sort of vie as the darkest of the live action movies that Disney ever made. And yet, if you look at Disney, they had so many scary witches and Snow White and Sleeping Beauty and all of that, and dragons. There was other dragons in Disney stuff, and you had Sorcerer's Apprentice, which is actually unnerving in Fantasia because, you know, with that theme going on, and Mickey can't stop it, and they're just water, and it's just all these brooms are taking over. It is scary. And at the end of Fantasia, you've got Night on Bald Mountain with Chernobog, the big demon. That is fucking terrifying. So Disney could do dark. There was also Something Wicked This Way Comes with Jonathan Pryce, and spooky tarantulas, and a mystical merry-go-round, and a fun fair, the carnival from beyond, which is scary. So Disney did dabble with the dark arts, but Dragonslayer, perhaps, even though this bit of music is not really selling the moment, but Dragonslayer is the darkest. It's the more violent, it's the scariest, and it pulls no punches. Women are killed. There's talk of virgins and, you know, people hiding women as boys. You know, there's a lot of themes that run through this. You've got nudity, you've got violence. You've got a woman being eaten by dragons, physically eaten by dragons, you know. And you've got faces burning off, people on fire. What's not to love? It's a wonderful film, with a wonderful score, and its atmosphere is deep, dark, brooding, and yet it's uplifting at the same time. It does tick all the boxes. We go on an odyssey, we go on a journey, we learn things like Galen does. He learns things. He's proved himself, because as he says, you know, Master, when Ulrich comes back, Master, I failed. I thought I could be like you. I wasn't. I thought I could save the village. I couldn't. I thought I could defeat the dragon. I couldn't. I said, no, you've learned things. You've been strong, and you'll be stronger yet, my boy. Like, oh, fuck. Why? What am I going to do now? I've done enough wrong, haven't I? Christ, can I just go? I believe in God now. Don't believe in you. Magic's had its time. So Dragonslayer and Excalibur are great little bedfellows. They do sit together in this sort of thing of mythic action, heroism, bravery, medieval pageantry, folklore, history intertwined with religion, and then the usurping of the old ways by the modern ways, by faith and religion coming in. Whether you believe or you don't, this is what happened. You know, belief in magic and dragons was eradicated because Christianity came in. you know, and that's the way it's been ever since. But we still believe in dragons, don't we? I've got to, because they fucking surround me. You know, I once had jokers to the right of me. No, hang on. Clowns to the right of me, jokers left of me. But here I am, stuck in the middle with dragons. But yeah, Dragonslayer. Go watch it. Get the 4K version if you can. Get that, because it is outstanding. The imagery is spectacular. Oh, I should have said as well, what's his name now? What's his name? Peter Howard, who was the construction artist, designed the sets so that they would be for the 2-3-5-1 format. So they're not built up high, they're built nice and low to fit that, cutting down the costs. Brilliant, and they do look fantastic. The sets are elaborate and convincing. Tony Mendelsohn did the costumes, they're great. Bruce Nicholson did the matte paintings. You'd wonder why you need matte paintings given the views of Capel and Tyrfan and the Isle of Skye and all of North Wales. Why would you need that in Snowdonia and the mountain ranges? Why would you need to? Well, you do, because you put a fucking dragon in there as well, and you need ominous skies. And the one time they're filming it, oh Christ, bloody sun's shining. We need clouds. So they actually sent this guy out to Hawaii, and he spent days filming around the islands, filming cloud formations, and bringing it back. So they had these massive, great, enormous cloud formations, which they could use as matte backgrounds, which he would paint in and matte in, and the dragon would be flying through all these wonderful stuff like. But the guy's name I'm looking for is Dave Bunnett. Dave Bunnett is the guy that designed Vermithrax Pejorative, and he, along with others, said like, no, it's not got 4 legs. We're not doing the usual archetypal dragon where it's on 4 legs and they just stuck wings on it. That's not how it is. There's got to be a sort of physical reality to it, and it wouldn't have 4 legs and wings. It's just not going to have the fucking ground. So, and they come up with all these designs, and the director Matthew, what's his name? Matthew Robbins. Oh my God, I've been on this for too long now, haven't I? Matthew Robbins. He said that some designs that you've made here, it's you, isn't it? Because they realised that in the profile shots of Vermithrax, it's Dave Bunnett's face, and it is, because you see him on the disc. They'll show you them, and it is his face. How bizarre is that? Cheers, y'all. But that Peter Howard brought in all these design imagery and storyboards of how it's going to look, and he said, well, this is Ulrich's castle and his magic laboratory and all that, like. And Matthew Robbins went, that's not quite what I was thinking. And these were fantastic art designs, and this guy just went, fuck it then. Screwed up, threw him away. And like Matthew Robbins was like, oh shit, you spent hours doing them. And he went, right, we'll start again. What do you want then? And he's like, whoa, Christ. But it's great though, isn't it? You know, look, I've painstakingly spent a long time composing and constructing these. You don't like them. Okay, well, it's my job to come up with something you do like. So out they go. And he said, they're fantastic bits of artwork. And he just threw them out. Anyway, folks, dragons live forever, and posters do not. It was bound to go. I have an old poster for Excalibur as well, and Escape from New York. Excalibur is right there behind us. Escape from New York is now further down. It's been relocated, but it's escaped. You know. But it's took New York with it. Dragonslayer. I don't know if there's any coming back from this now. This has now made it quite painstakingly clear that it's split asunder. Maybe it's symbolic. The sorcerer and the dragon gone their separate ways. The old ways and Christianity. I don't know. Folks, hope you enjoyed this. It's been a long video, I know. Those who stuck around, loving you to bits. Tell your friends, please. Let's get more people involved in the Celtic clan. Let's do this. Come on now. Many, many more videos to come and more watch-along parties. Who knows? I might even do a watch-along party for Dragonslayer one day. I don't know. We'll see what happens. In the meantime, you can watch me have a party with this. So please, in the meantime, and it's ever dragon festooned in between time, please keep it Celtic, keep it Celtic, keep it flame proof, and I'm going to see you all. Keep your wings on, boy. Because I've seen a vision, and I will be back with more. But in the meantime, you guys may have to go on your own odyssey, your own journey. Soul searching, dragon slaying, whiskey drinking. If I can influence you to do that, then the world's a better place. Laters, folks.